I always wanted to serve on a jury.
I'm really super excited to be here, so I really appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Creating this whole trial daddy.
I want to give a big shout out to the 13th Jury Podcast and Brandy.
Yeah, I applaud you guys. Keep doing what you're doing.
That every time you run into Phil Barber, you should reach for it.
And then I just looked to the jury, and it's sort of like, look.
I was in the eye of the storm, and you guys were watching the storm.
Hey, if you're bored of work, come pop in and say, hey, we'll have some coffee.
You are a ray of sunshine, and I love what you've done with your YouTube channel.
Good morning. Nope, it's not morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Hello, my juror family. Hello. It is good to see y'all. Hello. It's been a minute. Hello. It has been a minute. It is good to see you. Hey. Oh, actually, let's see. We hit 28,000 subscribers. We are at, I don't know when that happened, but sometime in the last few days, we hit 28,000. It's 28,054. So kind of cool. Didn't even realize it happened. Hello. It is good to be back with everybody. Hello. Seeing all my old friends. I am glad to see y'all. I appreciate it. I know y'all do, and I love you too. I love y'all too. I cannot get Discord to work, so mods, I'm sorry. I messed with it. I restarted my computer, and it's not coming up, so I don't know why I can't get it, but I can't get it. So, it has been a minute. It has. Hello. Zoom speed trialing. Oh, I love me some speed trialing. It's my favorite. Thought I went on vacay. I was like staycay. Like, I didn't really get to do vacation, but I did a staycation kind of. I got to stay home and work. That's okay. I have got to have my weekends off, which has been nice. Amanda Davis, 14 whole months. 14 whole months. Feels like yesterday. Can I push my volume just a little bit? Is it too low? Is that better? Tell me if that's better, if that's too loud. Georgia Mom, new member, welcome back. Welcome. That girl's on fire. No stopping. Rise up. No stopping. Oh, they may try. Ain't happening, Captain. Gail Pet member for 8 whole months. Happy to see y'all on my anniversary. I am happy to have you here. Hello, Ricky Watson. Hello. Hi. My hair is turning gray like my name. Oh. There are worse things, though, right? Worse things. Nurse for God. Hello, Nurse for God. I've missed you. Gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much. Thank you. Very generous. Welcome to our new members. Let's see. Miss Kitty, Debbie Blair, Kim Elfast, Jamie Chestnut. Is it menopause? It's really funny. Oh, Oh, those are the wrong ones. Let's see. Shannon's Copper, Joan Parkin, Sandy House, Ashley, Pilola's mom, Sherry Smith, Cajun Kool-Aid, Kelly P, Laura, and Jaded Wonder were gifted memberships by Nurse for God. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And Bug Dugger. The first ones that I read were actually Bug Duggers. I got them mixed up because sometimes that happens. Bug Dugger gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So Miss Kitty, Debbie Blair, Kim, Jamie, and Menopause were all from Bug Dugger. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all are the best. Ashley, member for 10 whole months. Happy to see you. We've missed you. Thank you, Nurse for God, for my membership. I have missed y'all too. I have missed y'all too. KPT, a troll tried to trash you in another chat and 10 people jumped all over them. Over 5K in that chat. Great advertisement. Yeah, they're all over me. They are all over me. Everywhere. Everywhere. Somebody sent me a thing that says, if your voice were not powerful and did not hold power, they wouldn't try to silence you. So I guess it's a compliment. Jessica, thank you for telling me this. I did see this. Let me fix this a little bit. I'm like, y'all are just looking at my cabinets. I did see this. Somebody sent me this clip, and so I did see it. Turtle Boy talked about me on his live last night. Said so many positive things about you. We are here to give you love and support. I appreciate that. Somebody did send me that. I saw what he said. That was incredibly nice, and very much appreciated. It has been it's been hard out here in these internet streets. Like, it has been, people are hateful, and it's been tough. You know, some people try to use my past against me, which is fine. Like, I own my past. We've talked about it here on stream before. Like, you know, I was a wild one in my early 20s. Like, I've never hidden that. I've never lied about that. We've talked about it here before, but then they're also making up new stuff. Like, they said I have current charges pending and such, just all kinds of craziness. People are crazy. And, it starts just, it's like one group, and they pile on and pile on and pile on. And then they're making fake accounts and, using my abusive ex's name to create making anonymous accounts in his name and stuff to torment me. And it's one of those things where it shows you how dark and terrible people can really be. And as much as normally stuff like that doesn't bother me, when it's just nonstop from the time I wake up until the time I go to bed, and then there's all the lies and all the nonsense, it gets to be exhausting, and it starts wearing on your mental health. And demanding that I denounce Turtle Boy and all these, that's not what I do. That's not what I do. The name of the channel is 13th Juror. That's what we do. We look at stuff like jurors. We weigh evidence. We talk about the evidence. We talk about the trials. I don't talk about the other people who also talk about the trials. That's not what I do. And people trying to bully me into doing what they want me to do has never my whole entire life worked. And it's not going to start working now when I'm 41 years old. It's just not. I'm not going to change who I am because assholes on the internet don't know how to behave. Just not going to do it. So it starts wearing you down. And so I saw where he had said on his live last night that, that just how awful they are. And, and just to, ignore them and move on. It just gets exhausting. So they just yap. Nothing that they say has any substance. It's all just yapping. It's ridiculous. P.I.L.'s member for 12 whole months. Anniversary 1 whole year, except been here since Murdoch. Love you, Brandy. I love you too. I love you too. Thank you. You have been here since Murdoch. You loved the spreadsheets. Everybody loves the spreadsheets. Everybody. 80s Music Man member for 4 whole months. Has it been 4 months? since we figured out how to get you green. It felt like a million years trying to figure out how to get you green, and now we've had you green for 4 whole months. 4 whole months. Happy, happy, happy anniversary. Kelly P, member for 5 whole months. I'm so glad to be back with the best chat. Congrats on 28K. Thank you. That's kind of cool, right? Just a growing. Our little family's just a growing. Mildred gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Mildred. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Oh, you're going to get kicked out. Oh, you're going to get kicked out. Just joking. I'll let it slide for now. But not during football season. Not tolerating that. Nurse for God gifted 20 memberships. Goodness gracious. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nurse for God. I'm behind on chat because I've been talking to y'all, so I can't name off who the 20 people are because it's already passed, but that's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. And welcome to our new members. We love having our little family just to grow. And thank you, Nurse for God. I appreciate it. Pillows Mom, congrats on 28K. You're our queen. Where's Lucy? Oh Lord, let me get you Lucy, because I know that's why y'all are really here. Gotta see the queen of this castle. She's down there. Queen of this castle. She's the funniest. KPT, welcome. You live here now. People are unhinged. It is wild out there, y'all. Wild out there. Look at that baby. Oops. Gosh, I'm out of practice, huh? Look at that baby. Lucy. Say hi to your friends. Say hi. Oh, not me. I was saying say hi to your friends. Wrong one, not me. Not me. I love y'all. Jasmine Greer, thank you for the super chat. Love you. Speed trial, stream when you want. Yes. That's the good thing about speed trialing, y'all. I am extremely partial to I love a speed trial. Sitting through the breaks and then having to go through the ones that talk so slow, that's rough. That is rough when you're used to oops. Dang it. Oops. I keep hitting the wrong one. Hold on. Oh, my foot's in there. I'm just messing everything up. Is that it? Okay. Can you see my foot? You can't see my foot. I'm trying to keep my foot out of the thing so we don't attract the wrong. There we go. Stop pressing buttons, Brandy. Feet picks attract the wrong crowd. Shannon's Copper, member for 6 whole months. A whole sea of green. Sea of green. I love it. Sinbad 333, member for 8 whole months. Home sweet home. Need my ruby sleepers. Yes. I had some of those when I was little. They were like the little ruby slippers with like the little buckle on top of them or whatever, or strap. So cute. Look, me too. I get blamed for everything. Everything. I appreciate that, Nurse Farah. This is a great channel. Brandy is amazing and brutally honest. She provides a lot of work on her end to help us understand the process. I love her for her belief. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. I am glad to be back with y'all. It does get overwhelming, but then when we're here and it's like, then you see how normal people are supposed to behave, and y'all are all just so great. It reminds you that it's just a small group out there. Young Jerk said the same happens to him. Yeah, I've heard that before, that he had to deal with it really bad too. So I don't, people are crazy. Jessica for Justice. Hello, my friend. My beautiful, beautiful friend. I love you. Lucy's just going to town on her. What are you itching? I love you too. I love you, and I'm glad you're here. Mildred, thank you for super chat. Unless you have lived it, no one who hasn't will never understand domestic violence. Yeah, it's it's such a crap thing to try to use to torment somebody. It's just it just shows their lack of character. So, you know, it happens. None of that in here. None of that. Not you. You're fine, Lucy. It's just people. Their Roll Tide nonsense. Block all of y'all. Just joking. So happy to see everyone back together. Me too. Me too. Melanie Little got off X because of all the nasties. Yeah, she actually she messaged me because she heard about everything that was going on. So I told her a little bit about it too. It's just been redunculous. I am so far behind, but I love seeing what y'all say. Nurse for God, gifted another membership. Thank you, thank you. Stop pressing buttons, Brandy. Ricky Watson, gifted 10 memberships. Thank you, Ricky Watson. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Jessica just said trolls are exhausting. They sure are. It's annoying. That's how you block them. Then they start creating more accounts. All right, am I caught up? Oh, almost. Evangeline Light, remember 14 whole months. So thankful to see your beautiful self today. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here. Oh, she hears somebody outside. Somebody's in trouble. She gets very, very into it. Okay, so we are going to be doing the Ashley Benefield trial today. So I am excited about this because the plan was to start it yesterday on day one, and then everything just went nuts. I'll be back in the morning with a news recap stream. Oh, good. We're going to do the stream yesterday, but then it just didn't happen. It didn't happen. So we are going to do, we'll see how far we can get today. What are you doing, child? We'll zoom. We're definitely going to do openings. We'll see how long it takes. I don't know how, I haven't even looked at it, y'all. So any of y'all who've actually seen it, you are far more advanced than I am. I have waited so that I could watch it with y'all. So I have not seen any of it. Not one piece have I seen. So, so we'll watch it together. Candace Hoff, member for 13 whole months. 13 whole months. So glad to be here for 13 whole months. I love you all, aka True Crime Ranch. We love you too. And I hope your birthday was awesome. Last time we were here, it was your birthday. Oh, it's spicy. Openings are short. Okay, good. So then we'll make it past openings then if it's short. Okay, let's get this show on the road. Without further ado. I'm going to skip the judge addressing jury stuff. We don't really need, I mean, we're doing the meat and potatoes in this one. Some of that stuff we just, oops, pressing the wrong buttons again. Share screen. Okay, let's see here. Stop pressing the wrong buttons, Brandy. Yeah, everybody says it's spicy. I have not seen anything.
Do not get so involved with
Whoa.
you are on the no.
Okay, let's see. That's really loud, huh? Hold on. Let me. Oh, that's my kid. Hi, I'm live. Is everything okay? Okay. Love you. Bye. Okay.
Which side the unfair play?
All right, let's see. Who's the blonde chick talking? It's me.
May very well. It's kind of like the atomic bomb. They several reasons.
Wait, how?
Tuesday morning,
Right,
we're getting ready to begin the first day of trial with preliminary instructions and opening statements, and then we'll start with the calling of witnesses. They're bringing the jury up right now. State, is there anything we need to cover before we bring them in?
Yeah. Yes. It's not really. Sorry. I have the jury instructions for redemption.
All right,
Okay, before we want
we don't care
now,
about.
and we'll call the witness. Then I send them out. Hey, each time you're going to make argument. Sure. Whatever the court's preferences. So, what we have worked out between the parties, Your Honor, is that we are going to provide the other side with a list of the witnesses that we respectively intend to call for the next day of trial. So pursuant to that informal agreement, we received yesterday a list by the state of several of the witnesses that they intend to call today. I don't know that it's in any particular order, but one of them is Tommy Benefield. Another is Eva Benefield.
Do we? Those who see this, we don't need any of this, right?
Others, and we have
We're just talking about.
anything that she has to say that is relevant to this inquiry. We took her deposition and we concluded that was clearly the case. As to a witness such as Tommy Benefield, his stand your ground testimony was rife with hearsay and information that he did not have personal knowledge of. And of course, we want to conclude that here in the trial. As to some of the witnesses, such as Alicia Byers and Barbara Russell, Your Honor, we believe that the state's intent on calling these witnesses is to go down the child abuse road. We are extremely concerned with that for several reasons, not the least of which is relevance. This is, after all, a homicide trial. We don't want to go down the rabbit hole of facing whether or not this child was actually abused. We don't think it has any relevance. It's completely collateral to the charges that Ms. Benefield is on trial for. And most importantly, perhaps in the 403's analysis, we firmly believe and we fear. We don't know that it will inure to our detriment any more than it might inure to the state's detriment, but raising the issue of child abuse is going to confuse this jury. It's going to distract their attention from the ultimate issue for which we're here, which is whether or not this shooting was justified. We acknowledge that Ms. Benefield was responsible for the shooting. All that's left is it was either self-defense or it wasn't. And if we go down that rabbit hole, we fear that it's going to create issues in the minds of the jurors that they're going to wonder, the same reason that Your Honor concluded Kimberly Griffin really had nothing relevant to add. The court, we believe, has staked out, if you will, the admissible parameters, that being specifically what law enforcement did as it relates to this. And they indeed intend to call Deputy Moreland, for example, who was the deputy that accompanied the CPT team in some of these interviews. But we feel that if it gets into the substance of those statements, it's going to create problems for all of us. The substance of what statements? Of whether or not there was child abuse, allegations of child abuse. That was never resolved. And I might point out to the court, there were allegations of abuse because of various injuries that the child was returned with, and because of some of the behavior that the child exhibited. But those allegations were not confined in one place. There were two professionals, a pediatrician as well as a psychologist, that were responsible for some of those allegations. We just don't see what possible relevance that could have. And when you balance the probative value of that against the danger of unfair prejudice, again, I'm not sure which side the unfair prejudice is going to be directed at, because I think child abuse is going to raise the eyebrows of every one of those jurors, especially we have 5 women on the media panel. And then they may very well, it's kind of like the atomic bomb, they may very well feel that the state should have done more and hold it against them. I don't know that they will hold it against us if they consider the validity of the allegations. And if they consider the validity of the allegations, Judge White, there we are. We're now litigating whether or not there was any truth and whether or not the child was actually abused. And I think it's going to be a mistake, respectfully.
Thank you. Good response.
Judge, I do not intend to ask Barbara Russell or Alicia Byers about child abuse or anything like that. That is not why they're being called. So if that was the concern, then there should not be a concern. As for Eva Benefield, she is going to testify just about background, the tenor of this relationship when they first met and that type of thing, which I think is relevant. Also, Tommy Benefield, I recognize he testified to a lot in the stand your ground that may not be relevant at this point. So I have tailored my questions down to just what he saw in her.
Final thoughts?
Yeah, the only thing I would say in response is, as for Eva Benefield, Your Honor, I think she's being called for the sympathy factor, having lost her father. There's nothing about the background and about her being in the house periodically that sheds any relevance on this. We took her deposition. She has no knowledge of any of the specific events. The only thing at best that she can say, and I think this is why the state's calling her, is it's going to be an effort to introduce an appropriate character evidence of Ms. Benefield. Eva Benefield relates in a couple of incidents in her deposition where Ashley Benefield and her mother, Alicia Byers, spoke with Eva and tried to tell her how dangerous her father was. And of course, being a young girl, or for that matter, just out of a sense of loyalty to her father, which is understandable, she was put off by that. And whether or not that is offered in an effort to portray Ashley Benefield and her mother, Alicia Byers, as mean or spiteful, would really be inappropriate character evidence. And we have not opened that door. And as the court well knows, if that doesn't come in, it's inadmissible until such time as we do. So I don't see respectfully any relevance to that. Balanced against the sympathy factor, I don't think she's an appropriate witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you both very much. Of the 4 names you mentioned, of course, Tommy Benefield testified at the Stand Your Ground hearing. And while I'm sure you both remember that I had a footnote where I mentioned that during the Stand Your Ground hearing, I allowed quite a bit in because as the court, I think I am capable of knowing what's admissible and what's relevant in making a legal determination. So I allowed a lot more in than I would allow in during this trial. And I hinted at that. I think I actually stated it pretty expressly in one of my footnotes that just because it came in at the Stand Your Ground hearing does not mean it's coming in at the trial, subject to appropriate objection. The only person that, of the 4 you mentioned that testified at the Stand Your Ground hearing is Mr. Benefield, Tommy Benefield. And State, I just heard you acknowledge that you understand that a lot of his testimony, and I'm not going to put a percentage on it, was allowed, but may not be admissible at trial. Eva Benefield did not testify. I don't know the substance of her testimony, what it's going to be. I've heard about a deposition that was taken, so I know you've had the opportunity to at least depose her and speak with her. Alicia Byers, so I had not even heard that name except reading it off of the witness list yesterday. So Alicia Byers is the defendant's mother.
Yes, sir.
And you're calling her?
Yes.
Okay. And then, of course, I know Dr. Russell, we had the hearing with her. All I can say at this point is with kind of generic non-specifics. I don't feel like there's really any blanket ruling I can put on any of these particular witnesses. What I heard from the defense was hearsay as to Tommy Benefield. That may very well be the case to some of his testimony, lack of personal knowledge, whatever it might be. Eva Benefield is just a general relevance And I don't know. I haven't even seen her deposition. I haven't had her at a pretrial hearing, so I don't know what her testimony is going to be. So at that point, I can just say object as you see fit. And Ms. Byers and Ms. Russell, I heard some of Ms. Russell's testimony at a prior hearing, but we didn't get into anything about child abuse or allegations of child abuse. And I have no idea what Ms. Byers is going to say. So all I can say is I'm not aware of a ruling I can make at this point, other than just to follow the rules of evidence. Before I bring the jury in, I did want to welcome everybody that's in the audience. Please check now to make sure that your cell phones are silenced or off. There is no recording, audio or video in the courtroom. You can certainly speak with our media relations folks about how to get into the pool feed, or if you want to take pictures, we certainly have a media room where that can be done. There's not to be any cell phone use in the courtroom. I generally don't get too upset if people are they need to send or receive a text related to work or something like that. That's just fine, just as long as it's not distracting. So that allowance can very well change as the trial goes on. I'll also say with a group this size, it's not uncommon for people to need comfort breaks at various times throughout the case. I would ask if we could keep the in and out to a minimum. It can be distracting to the jury. And as I mentioned to the jury yesterday, I want them 100% focused on the testimony and evidence of this case. So if you can try and take your breaks, step out and come back in whenever we have a break between witnesses, maybe during bench conferences and so forth. I do appreciate it.
Judge, can I raise one other issue? I'm sorry, just as a prophylactic measure, reminding the court and the state of the agreement we have that there should be no reference to the stand your ground hearing. It should instead be reference to just another hearing, and instruct all witnesses accordingly.
I think we should be clear on that.
Yes, and I instructed my witnesses on that.
Thank you.
All right, nobody's invoked the rule. Are we invoking the rule?
Yes. Actually, that raises one last issue, if I can.
More issues.
I think this has to be an ex parte conversation. Very brief ex parte conversation with the court.
Okay.
Oops. Oh, I love that little button that I get to skip through.
Registration has been invoked. If there are any witnesses who are present in the courtroom, you must leave at this point, as you cannot hear the testimony of other witnesses. You should not discuss your testimony or the questions or the trial, if you violate the rule of sequestration, you could face contempt proceedings, and if found in contempt of court, you could be ordered to pay a fine. Rule has been instructed on the rule from the court. Please advise me well in advance of their appearing so that instruction can occur outside the presence of the jury. I will add a caveat to my normal rule of sequestration admonition that I have been made aware that the case, that the trial is online. I don't know if it's live as we're going or if it's just available online somewhere after the fact.
Okay, how adorable is that? That he doesn't know. That's adorable.
But the rule of sequestration would also prevent witnesses from watching the trial live or watching a recording of the trial. If they're under subpoena, the rule applies to them. Please advise them as such.
And Judge, just to add on to that, we have Tommy Benefield and Eva Benefield. They will be the first two witnesses, and pursuant to Marcy's law, I would ask that they be allowed to sit in for the rest of the trial. They may be called as rebuttal witnesses. There's a slim chance, but that would only be if the defendant testifies. So if it pleases the court, if that happens and the defendant testifies, then we can ask them to step out for that testimony.
She's taking like very
But
heavy
pursuant to
breaths.
Marcy's law, I believe they have a right to be here after they testify.
Do you want to be heard on that?
It's pretty timely, Your Honor. Equal treatment. That's all I ask.
Pursuant to Florida Statute 90.6162A, D, as in Delta, a witness may not be excluded if the
All right, I'm going to skip through some of this.
person
The other witness,
You
if
know
the
what
defendant told them for that
sequestration is.
lawful representative of such person. Pursuant to Marcy's law, pursuant to Rule 90.6162 would be, it shouldn't be a problem.
What is the statute the court cited?
90.6162A. And of course, if somebody's released from their subpoena, all right, that was a lot for not having any emotions.
Yeah, for real. Christine, remember for 9 whole months? Happy anniversary. Can I interview you on my channel? Yeah.
You ready to go?
We'll make time.
Say?
Yes.
Yeah, defense. Okay, let's bring the jury.
Bring the jury.
Be comfortable in. So now you get to sit in the nice, comfortable seats as you listen to the
looks
testimony.
so young.
As you notice, those seats begin. I do want to ask, though, and again, you're going to get tired of hearing this from me because every time we separate and every time we come apart, I'm going to get some confirmation from you. So did anybody begin deliberations or talking about the case? Anybody do any research? Everybody says no. Lady Florida with murder in the second degree with
I'm going to skip through
the
this.
trial gives the attorney a following the opening statements, witnesses will be called to testify on another opportunity if they or fixed opinion on the merits of the case until you have heard all of the evidence, the argument of the lawyers, and the instructions on the law by me. Until that time, you should not discuss the case amongst yourselves. The law. No
These are all things
communication
we
includes no emailing, text messaging, tweeting, blogging, or any other form of communication. Do not research about the case or look up any information about the case. If
Unless you're on 13th juror.
you become aware, or myself, of that violation, during these recesses or at once.
I'm going to skip through
Then
this.
you
This is Zooms,
communicate-
and these are things we know. We're doing the meat and potatoes of this.
All right. Evidence presents places involved any discussions of any. Let even the closest family members make you are under related to this case. Posting parties have no opportunity to system condition by over. A mistrial is a tremendous expense and inconvenience to the parties.
My goodness
the court,
gracious, how long
to
does
listen,
this
as this is their chance to tell you what they believe the evidence will be in this.
Okay.
This case is about a woman who very early on in her pregnancy decided she wanted to be a single mother. And she did not want the father of this child to have any visitation, her husband. And everything she did from that point on was to attain that goal. And she would stop at nothing to attain that goal. She tried several things in the system that you'll hear. The courts, law enforcement, Department of Children and Families, no one got on her side. And at the end, when there was no other option, she shoots him and kills him and claims self-defense. Now this couple, Doug Benefield and Ashley Benefield, were married. They had moved to Florida from South Carolina. They lived together in South Carolina. Now, when they lived down here in Florida in Bradenton, they did not live together. Obviously, there were issues. Doug Benefield lived in his own apartment. Ashley Benefield lived with her mother, Alicia Byers, in a home with their daughter once she gave birth. She had this daughter who at the time was a toddler when she shot Doug. While they were living separate, they were still interacting with each other with the goal, the apparent goal of seeking reconciliation, reconciling this family and becoming a family. They were going to restaurants, they were going to Selby Gardens, they were hanging out at the pool at Doug Benefield's apartment complex. By all images, they looked like they were trying to reconcile. The problem was, that is not what Ashley Benefield wanted. Although that's what she was portraying, that's not what she wanted. At the time that this shooting happened, they were planning to move to Maryland. Ashley's mother had inherited a home in Maryland and they were going to move to Maryland. Doug was also going to move to Maryland. They were going to continue to live separate and continue to attempt to reconcile, but they were all going to move to Maryland together. Excuse me. At the time that this happened, everybody was in moving mode. There were boxes everywhere, furniture, beds upended. They had a U-Haul that they were using together. They had a pod that was in the defendant's driveway that they were putting all of their things into. And every day around this time, Doug Benefield was going to Ashley's home to assist her in putting these things into the pod, putting these things into the U-Haul, because the plan was that they were all going to pack up in the next few days and move to Maryland. And it continued to try and work on the relationship. The problem was Ashley Benefield knew that this was a ruse. She didn't intend to reconcile. She didn't intend to try to make this work. And the problem was there was a court hearing on September 30th of 2020. And at that court hearing, all of this was going to come out. It was going to come out that she was acting one way when she was by herself, and she was acting another way when she was with Doug Benefield. That she was telling him she wanted to work on things, that she wanted to get this marriage back together. But yet, when separate, she was saying she had absolutely no intention of reconciling, did not want him around and did not want this to work. On the 30th of September, this was going to come out. On the 27th of September, she shoots him and kills him. 3 days before this hearing and 3 days before this information was to become public. Now, there was no one else at the house at the time of the shooting. It was just Doug and Ashley. While Ashley's mother and child lived there, they had gone to the park. As soon as Doug got to the house, Alicia Byers takes her granddaughter and they go to the park. So the only people at the house are the defendant and the victim. And you're going to hear three very important things about this shooting. Number one, Ashley Benefield was the only person that was armed. It was her gun. She had it from before. It's not like she took it away from Doug. It was her gun. And Doug Benefield was not armed. He had no gun, no knife, no club, no weapon of any kind. Number two, Ashley Benefield was not injured. Law enforcement took pictures of her right after the shooting. And then again, you'll hear in a few days, they took more pictures. Because sometimes law enforcement, they know that bruises sometimes don't show up right away, that it takes several days for these bruises to show up. So they took pictures several days later. And you'll see those pictures and you'll see that Ashley Benefield is not injured. She has some very superficial scratches on her midsection. Who knows where they came from? She had cats in the house, but who knows? But this is the only injury to her. And the third thing is the trajectory of the fatal bullet. Now, he was shot multiple times, but one of the bullets was fatal. The trajectory of that bullet was side to side. It was not straight on. Doug Benefield was not facing her, coming at her at the time that the fatal shot was fired. Now, as you go through this trial...
Real quick, you remember when they were investigating the death of Charles Vallow, one of the things that they investigated with that one about whether or not it was self-control is the way that the bullets entered him and then the way that they hit the floor and stuff like that. That's stuff that I guess in the moment, some people who claim self-defense when it's not. I'm not saying that this is her case. We're going to listen to all the evidence, but I think that's one of the things that sometimes they don't think about.
It's a lot of information, a lot of timeline, but it's all very important to understand the tenor of this relationship between these two people. And it goes all the way back to when they met, back in 2016. That was the end of August 2016, they meet. They were both involved in some political event, and they met. 13 days later, they married. Doug Benefield was 54 years old. Ashley Benefield was 24 years old. So there was a 30-year age gap between the two of them. They knew each other 13 days, and they got married. Ashley Benefield was very into the ballet, had been an ex-dancer. Her dream was to start a ballet company. And lo and behold, her husband has the money and the connections to get this done. So he begins, and she begins, to put this ballet company together. And they do put a ballet company together. But before it can actually take off, it falls apart. Before they're married even a whole year, so in April of 2017, Doug Benefield has his vasectomy reversed because they want a child. Within weeks or months of the vasectomy reversal, the defendant is pregnant. So all within a year of being married, they have done a vasectomy reversal, gotten pregnant, started a ballet, and the ballet has crumbled. While Ashley is pregnant, she decides she's too sick from the pregnancy, morning sickness, and that she needs her mother to take care of her. Her mother's in Florida, in Bradenton, Florida. So during her pregnancy, she moves to Bradenton, Florida to live with her mother so her mother can take care of her during the sickness. The two never lived together again. This was the last time these two lived together. They continued a long-distance relationship when she first moved to Florida and continued trying to keep it together in communication. But about the same time as the ballet collapses, right about all of this time, Ashley Benefield starts complaints against the victim. Her complaints are things like, the main one was that Doug Benefield was poisoning her with heavy metals, and her unborn child was being poisoned, that there was poison in her tea. that he was giving her poison. There were also other complaints, domestic violence complaints, different types of complaints, but not once will you hear that she ever said he hit her. Not once did she ever say he choked her, kicked her, anything like that. Even though she's making these complaints, the victim, Doug Benefield, is still trying to make this work. And you're going to see some text messages and hear some things. He's still trying to make this work. But she is having none of it. So at about the time that she's ready to give birth, Doug Benefield contacts an attorney here in Florida, Sarasota, Florida, Stephanie Murphy, and asks her to help. And asks her to help him write a letter to her, to Ashley Benefield, to state that he wants to be a part of the birth and he wants to be a part of this child's life and to please keep in contact with him. Ashley never answers that letter. That letter is sent via email on March 15th of 2018, which was several weeks early. She wasn't due yet. And the next day, she is induced, her pregnancy is induced, and she gives birth to a daughter. She never tells Doug. He doesn't even know his child is born for weeks. And
okay, I'm curious. That part's weird to me. The not telling. Now, if you're in if this is a DV situation, I guess I can, I can definitely understand that. But that's something that I'm hoping to hear more evidence about too, about the, she said that I know from the previous stuff, like she said that he was poisoning her, but all of the testing showed that he wasn't. And the prosecutor just said that she was accusing him of poisoning and domestic violence, but never said anything about him hitting her or anything. So I'm curious about, it just sounds like a whole lot of toxic.
And she never responds to the letter. The way that Doug knows that this child is born is that Ashley Benefield starts filing complaints again. And based on these complaints, he figures out, oh, my child's born. And now we have more complaints. The complaints revolved around the poisoning and the things that I talked about earlier. And she filed for what's called a violation of injunction, or I'm sorry, she filed for an injunction. An injunction is our legal way of saying restraining order. So when someone wants a restraining order, they have to go through a process and go to court, and the court has to decide, and you get a restraining order. So that was her process. She was trying to get a restraining order against Doug, and the allegations were what I said to you. At the same time, Doug Benefield had not seen his child, had not met his child. So he did a cross complaint to say, please let me have contact with my child. I've never even met my child. So this was set for a hearing. And it ended up going 2 days. It was long. It was a long process, a lot of witnesses in family court. And it ended up going 2 days. It began in July 30th, 2018, and it finished on September 17th, 2018. And at the conclusion of that hearing, the judge said, no. No, you are not getting a restraining order, and no, you cannot keep this man away from his child. And granted Doug Benefield immediate visitation with his daughter. He met his daughter for the first time. She was 6 months old.
Wow.
And at the time when they were exchanging custody, which was at the sheriff's office for meeting the child, all of this animus had been going on. I mean, they had just had these hearings and all of this. And at that first time sharing, that's what they call it nowadays in family courts, time sharing. At the first time sharing, Ashley starts becoming very nice to Doug and says, basically, I'll go with you for the visitation. And that's what they do. The family goes off for visitation. And that begins a year, approximately a year, of basically them working on the relationship, going out.
I remember it says, Jenny says, yeah, they didn't say why she was induced early if she wasn't sick. I remember a while back when I was researching this case, I remember I feel like they said that she was insisting at that point that she had been poisoned. So they induced early because of that, if I remember right. If y'all, I haven't reviewed the notes in a while, so if I'm remembering wrong, then correct me. But I feel like that's what I remember about why they did it.
Out to restaurants, doing things, hanging out together as a family. About a year. Now, Doug never moves in with Ashley. He keeps a separate residence. But after almost a year, so around August of 2019, Ashley just stops talking to him. Just stops. And that's about the time Doug files for divorce. He finally says, okay, we're getting a divorce. Then what you'll hear is that the defendant started a whole new set of complaints. You will hear that she was involved in 5 different complaints, all revolving not around her this time, but about the child. Because now Doug has visitation with the child, so now these allegations are that Doug's abusing the child, and
Overruled.
the allegations are that Doug's abusing the child. What you'll hear is that not one of these charges was ever prosecuted. Not one of these charges ever left law enforcement. So the defendant now has tried these 5 complaints after Doug filed for a divorce. Law enforcement's not helping her. No one has said that Doug cannot see this child, so there's still visitation going on. And in this meeting of all these people, it was decided that Doug and Ashley Benefield will go for a psychological evaluation. So they do. And they go to Dr. Broder, and Dr. Broder does a very extensive psychological evaluation. And he meets with them together. He meets with them separately. He meets with them with the child, whose name is Emerson, by the way. She's a little girl. And at the time of the shooting, she was about not yet 2 years old. During this evaluation, and what you'll hear from Dr. Broder is that Ashley Benefield acted very different when she was with Doug and when she was not with Doug. When she was with Doug, it was, we're moving to Maryland, we're going to work on our relationship, we're going to try and make this family work. When she's not with Doug, she's saying, no way, no how, I do not want this, I don't want to reconcile with him. And to Doug's knowledge, all he's hearing is, I want to reconcile. So that's what he knows. That report was coming out at that hearing on September 30th, 2020. So September 30th, 2020, Ashley knew the ruse was up. Now, there had to be a request from both sides, the husband and the wife, to release this psychological report. And at one point before the hearing, Ashley Benefield tried to get Doug to drop that so the report would not get out, would not be released. Doug refused. So that report was coming out on the 30th, and on the 27th, she kills him and claims self-defense. Now, you're probably going to hear a lot of information about Doug Benefield. Probably some negative things, not so nice things. I would just ask you to remember who's saying them and why. Just because someone speaks words does not make it true. So use your common sense as you go through this trial. This is a long story with a lot of information, but you'll see that this was a custody battle that this mother was going to win at all costs. And the cost was the life of Doug Benefield. And that is murder. Thank you.
Oh, dang.
Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Judge Wright. May I request the clerk to put the screen down?
Huh. 80s. Oops.
Generations. I'm in the old school. This is the divide between generations. I'm in the old school. I'd like to know that I have a picture and it's reliable. This is the new world. We rely on technology. I'm not sure that I'm a fan.
Not a fan. His voice sounds like he's doing the voiceover for a sci-fi movie. Wait, hold on. Listen to that again.
That between generations.
Okay, imagine like this is the beginning of a sci-fi movie and you have like the words are on the screen and it's like telling you what's about to happen, and now listen to his voice.
I'm in the old school. I'd like to know that I have a picture and it's reliable. This is the new world. We rely on technology. I'm not sure that I'm a fan.
Not a fan. I say that all the time.
All right, here we go.
This is the new
Good morning,
world.
ladies and gentlemen. This is Douglas Benefield. He was 58 when Ashley Benefield was forced to shoot him. Can I see the second picture, please? I want you to note how he's built for a 58-year-old man. Now, despite being raised by a family who taught me that it was ill to speak about the dead in an unflattering sense, I'm going to have some strong words about Douglas Benefield, the alleged victim in this case. I say alleged victim because he was anything but that. The evidence is going to show that Douglas Benefield was a very disturbed man. Of that, I assure you, you'll have no doubt when the case is over. 30 years older than Ashley, he was obsessed with her, and he successfully portrayed himself as everything he was not in an effort to win her hand in marriage. Despite promoting himself as a religious, honorable, and decent human being, Doug Benefield was a manipulative, cunning, and abusive man who absolutely insisted on control. Among other things, you're going to learn during this trial that over the course of this 4-year relationship, Douglas Benefield did the following. He fired a handgun into the ceiling of their kitchen on an occasion to stop Ashley from talking. He threw a loaded gun at Ashley. He punched their dog in the face so hard that he knocked the dog unconscious. He regularly carried a concealed firearm that was racked, meaning pulled back and ready to fire. He unlawfully placed a tracker on Ashley Benefield's vehicle. He was regularly observed following Ashley Benefield in her car driving in Manatee and Sarasota counties, despite the fact that he was living in South Carolina, having driven all the way just to tail her. He was caught by a neighbor at night, standing in the neighbor's backyard in an effort to peer into Ashley's house. He punched numerous holes in the drywall of their home when they lived together in South Carolina. And he had a previous marital history of domestic violence. Ashley Benefield was painfully aware of all of this on September 27th, 2020, the day of the homicide. And I want to assure you that this is not going to come to you from just one place. These are acts that were admitted by Douglas Benefield himself. Ashley Benefield feared him. That was no secret, ladies and gentlemen. She left him a letter when she moved out 3 years prior to the homicide, detailing how scared she was of him because of all of these acts. She feared for herself and for her unborn child. 3 years before the shooting. She left him. He pursued her. She rejected him. He would not take no for an answer. She at times despised him. He did not care. She moved to get away from him. He followed her. She decided to go to Maryland. Surprise. He decided to go to Maryland as well. She belonged to him. He had the right to be with her, and no less than God decided that to be the case. Doug Benefield viewed Ashley Benefield as his property. Abusers seek to control their victims, to dominate them. At times, the pressure that Doug Benefield exerted and brought to bear upon Ashley Benefield was so overwhelming that it sometimes triggered questionable suspicions in Ashley's dedicated effort to protect herself and her child. Domestic violence victims have several things in common. Number one, they initially believe things will get better. Instead, they get worse. Number two, domestic violence victims develop a get along, go along attitude. It's the mentality because appeasement keeps the beast at bay. Just do what he wants and you'll be safe. These domestic violence victims constantly speak about walking on eggshells. And the reason they describe it like that is for fear of anything that they say may trigger a reprisal by the abuser. And if children are involved, everything is magnified. They become hyper-vigilant. Ashley Benefield developed all of those characteristics. So on 9/27/2020, the day of the homicide, Doug arrives at the residence of Ashley Benefield. And as you heard, they are living separately. He does not live there. He never resided there. This is at her home in Bradenton. He had no claim for entering that home on that day, except with the permission of Ashley, which she gave on that day because she was moving to Maryland and Doug was going to Maryland as well. But he knew, make no mistake, as the prosecutor has told you, Doug Benefield knew full well on that day that this relationship was over. They were not going to be living together. Maybe, hopefully, they could work out some type of co-parenting agreement, but she was done. So how does that day's events unfold? What happens that results in us all assembling here this morning? It starts, ladies and gentlemen, with Doug Benefield once again seeking control. He is simmering when he arrives at Ashley's home on that afternoon. Why is he simmering? He's on a slow boil, actually, because he knows that Ashley's moving. He knows that this relationship is over. And immediately there's a discussion about how they should pack the belongings, with Ashley taking the position that her belongings should be packed last. Why? Because Ashley's things are going to be unloaded first. And Doug will then continue on to wherever it is that he was going to reside. So, this is the most vulnerable time for a domestic violence victim, when the abuser recognizes that he's about to lose her. So what's his response to this? All right, classic tactics of an abuser, they are threats and intimidation. On this afternoon, as the two of them are trying to pack this U-Haul in this pod. In the effort to avoid confrontation with him, Ashley says, after a short while, gee, you know, I'm really pretty exhausted. Why don't we stop for the day? We can finish tomorrow. Doug ignores it. His response is to grow increasingly aggressive and hostile. Not once, but twice, Doug body checks Ashley. And by body check, I mean he passes her in a hallway, slams his shoulder into her shoulder, almost knocking her over. That's not enough. The next thing is, as they're passing in a hallway, he's carrying a cardboard box. He jams the cardboard box into Ashley's side, which leaves scratches that the police photographer took. Again, now fearing for her safety because she sees how he is escalating in his behavior, she tries to persuade him, look, let's finish for the day. It's getting late. I'm tired. No go. Instead, Doug bellows, I know what you're doing. You're trying to get me to leave. I'm your husband, and I can spend the night if I want to. Well, that was enough for Ashley. She heads for the front door of the house to leave. Doug chases up to her, grabs her by the arm or hand, and spins her around so that his back is to the front door, blocking her from leaving. And he yells right in her face, where do you think you're going? Ashley, desperate at this point, Doug yells, you can't leave me. Ashley somehow finds the strength to summon up the nerve to say, I am done. You need to leave now. She commands him to leave the home. Terrified, while in his grasp, because he spun her around, his response is to smack her upside the head. And you'll see the pictures of her swollen face and her eye. And he yells, I am not done. Fearing for her life, as this was the first time that he had actually struck her. Up till then, it was always threats and intimidation. As intimidating as firing a gun may be to get you to stop speaking, he had never actually hit her. He pushed her. This time he struck her. Terrified after this, fearing for her life, she heads for her bedroom where she has a firearm. She gets to the firearm. She turns around. She orders Doug to stop. When she looks up, he's in the doorway. Instead of seeing the gun and leaving, Doug gets into this warrior pose with his arms moving purposely and advances. At that point, petrified, she fires, believing that if he gets a hold of her, she will be either seriously injured or killed. To her horror, after firing, he continues to advance. She absolutely panics. She tries to get away and backs to the side to create more distance between them, but there is no place left for her to go in this small bedroom. At that point, in utter panic, she keeps firing the gun. She sees Doug's legs go up in the air, almost as if he was running and slipped, and he falls backwards. Instinctively, she flees the house and heads next door to John Sant's house. He's a neighbor. When all is said and done, ladies and gentlemen, and the testimony and the evidence is complete, the only thing that's going to have been established here beyond a reasonable doubt is that Douglas Benefield was a violent abuser. Ashley Benefield's efforts to placate him was absolutely consistent with what abused women do, especially when a child is involved, and that Ashley's result and resource to deadly force was absolutely justified under the circumstances. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Judge, can we approach?
Yes.
Hello. 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 Okay, obviously two very different stories. Ooh, I love to zoom. Zoom.
Want to stand up, please feel free to do so, kind of stretch a little bit. There's not enough room for yoga poses and calisthenics. I do. Sorry, follow me, please.
Okay, so what are y'all thinking of the opening so far? Remember, openings are not evidence. This is not, we can't go on what they say as evidence. We have to listen to all the stuff that actually comes out. The hard thing about this one is that you want to automatically be sympathetic toward the victim, but you also want to believe people when they, tell you that they are victims of domestic violence. So this one kind of puts you in a weird situation because you have to really hear everything before you can decide one way or the other. Which you kind of got to do anyway, but.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Judge. My name is Judge White. I'm going to be presiding over this case. As the deputy said, just make yourself comfortable in that chair. Get about 12 to 15 inches from that microphone. It adjusts up, down, left, right, however you need it. Speak in a loud, clear voice, we'll hear you.
Yes, sir, I will.
Good morning.
Good morning, Suzanne.
Please state your name.
Tommy Douglas Benefield, Jr.
Can you spell those?
Yes, ma'am. Tommie, middle name Douglas, Douglas. Last name Benefield, Benefield, and Jr.
And what was your relationship to Doug Benefield?
I'm Doug's first cousin.
Okay. How close were you and Doug?
Doug and I were completely attached, connected all the way through his adult life at varying times from daily to semi-annually, certainly quarterly, though the whole entire adult life.
Okay. And how are you employed?
I'm currently employed by a major airline out of Atlanta, Georgia, and I run a flight school or a portion of a flight school in Vero Beach, Florida, 3 days a week. It's a full-time job.
Okay. And were you and Doug close about flying?
Yes, ma'am. He followed me into the Navy. I was a Navy pilot off aircraft carriers, and Doug stayed with me in the months prior to him going into the Navy. He went through aviation officer candidate school, went through flight school, and then flew for 3 years and 2 deployments off aircraft carriers like I did. Same aircraft carrier, USS Nimitz, as a matter of fact.
Okay. How old was Doug Benefield when he died?
All right. He was 5 years younger than me. I'm 68 now. That was 4 years ago, 64. He was 59, I believe.
About how tall was Doug?
5'9", 5'10" at the most.
Approximately how much did he weigh at the time?
My guess is 160, 165. He was slender and fairly small for a man.
Okay. And before Doug moved to Florida, where did he live?
Before he moved.
Before he moved down here to Bradenton, Florida, where did he live?
Okay, I'm sorry. I had to pick a year at that point. I'm sorry. He had a home all the way up until his death in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, just north of Charleston. 701 Preservation Place was the address.
Okay. And he lived at that address before moving to Bradenton, Florida, correct?
Yes, ma'am. And then he rented the house out when he moved to Bradenton for visitation of their daughter.
Okay. And before he met Ashley, who did he live with at the house?
The house for multiple years was Doug, his longtime wife Renee, and their daughter Eva. That's prior to Renee's death in 2015, December of 2015.
Okay. So Renee died in 2015. Do you know how she died?
Yes, ma'am. She died of a undiagnosed heart ailment, cardiac arrest.
Okay.
I thought it was 16.
Not qualified. Lack of qualifications?
Yes.
Overruled on that basis.
Was Renee Eva Benefield's mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm sorry, can you say that date again? Was 2015 that she died?
I believe it's December 2nd, but I may have the day off, but not the month of 2015.
2015. All right. And I want to ask you now, switch to Ashley. So about how long after Renee died did Doug meet Ashley?
9 months.
Okay. When did you first meet Ashley?
I met Ashley in the spring of 2017. I believe the date was either March 14th or April 14th.
And did you know about Ashley before you met her?
No, ma'am.
Okay. How did your meeting come about?
I was flying for Southwest Airlines as a captain at the time. They changed my schedule like they do many times in the airline world. And I ended up not overnighting in Baltimore, Maryland, and they sent me to Charleston, South Carolina. Because I was going to Charleston, I texted Doug and said, hey, I'll be in to Charleston tonight. I'd like to have dinner. And he said, great. Text.
Sustained.
Okay. During your conversations, did he mention the name Ashley?
In the second text chain, which is entered.
Sustained.
I'm asking because...
I can answer the question, ma'am. When I arrived in Charleston, I texted Doug, and his text to me specifically was...
You can't speak about what Doug said to you.
Okay.
But during the text messages, did he indicate to you there was a female involved?
Yes, that's the first mention of Ashley to me, that we were not going to have dinner at the airport, and that I was to take Uber up to Mount Pleasant to meet them.
Okay. And was that at their house?
That was at Doug's house. Yes, ma'am. 701 Preservation Place.
Doug's house at the time. And how long were you with them, the two of them together?
4 to 5 hours. We started at the house. We ended up going back to my hotel, getting a piece of medical technology, medical device that I was a master trainer in that device. We had dinner together at a pizza restaurant across from the hotel, and then went back to my room in the hotel, the three of us, and certainly 4 to 5 hours that day.
And during this time, did you have multiple conversations with both of them?
We had conversations about everything, especially about how they met.
Okay.
Starting at the house, ending at the hotel.
And what did Ashley say about how they met?
She talked about how they met at a political event, a meeting, where Doug and his business investors
That's
or
your personal knowledge.
Defendant's statement.
Yeah, overruled.
You can go ahead.
both Ashley and Doug told me about how they met the first night at a political meeting, how Ashley had reached out to him before that meeting. They showed me text messages between them for the 10 days between the first meeting and her second meeting with him up in Charleston, Mount Pleasant. They talked about how they had mutual interests, mutual alignment, how they were looking for the same thing in a relationship. They talked about, Ashley talked specifically about her fibromyalgia and pain associated with her ballet dancing days. Ashley talked about her mother, her upbringing, about her father, about the separation there.
Okay.
Do you have an objection?
Yes, sir.
On the basis?
Hearsay.
It's my understanding this is the defendant's statement.
Yes.
Or overruled.
Okay. Let me stop you there. So she said they met, that her and Doug met at a political event.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at the time that you were meeting with them, were they married?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did Ashley indicate to you when they got married or how long they had been married?
Yes, ma'am. 13 days from first meeting.
That they got married 13 days after they met?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did Ashley indicate where they got married?
Yes, ma'am.
And where was that?
That was in Mount Pleasant or Charleston. Doug's best friend at the time, Tripp, married them.
Okay. Did
13
Ashley
days.
ever discuss with you that she carried a gun?
Yes.
And what did she say about that?
She said that on their initial meeting, in the political meeting, that she and Doug.
Hold on, I'm curious because of the 13 days. Who in here is married, is still married? What's the shortest time frame and the longest time frame that you knew somebody before you married them and you're still married? I'm curious.
Doug and Doug's traveling partner in business went outside of Secret Service people, and she showed him the gun she was carrying at that event in her bra.
Okay. And she talked to you about this during your meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I want to jump forward a little bit, but did you have any conversations that night about them wanting to have a child? Or was that a different time?
I don't remember us talking about it that first night, no, ma'am.
Okay. Do you remember a conversation with Doug and Ashley, specifically Ashley, about them wanting a child?
I believe it was later in the late spring, the next time that I visited with them.
Okay. And to your knowledge, could Doug have children?
He had had a vasectomy after having his daughter with Renee, his longtime wife.
Did Ashley...
I'm sorry, so no, he couldn't have children.
Did Ashley speak about that in front of you, Ashley and Doug together, or Ashley separate about the vasectomy?
They did when they were discussing having Doug have a vasectomy reversal. Yes, ma'am, I believe so.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did that reversal ultimately go through?
Yes, ma'am, and I believe Ashley actually paid for it on a credit card. They talked about that.
Okay. And ultimately, she became pregnant?
Yes, 3 months after the vasectomy was reversal, she became pregnant. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to skip a little bit forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Did they end up having a wedding reception?
They did. I believe it was June of 2017. I was single parenting at the time, and I wasn't able to attend, but it was in Charleston, South Carolina, at the home of one of Doug's business partners.
Okay. You mentioned something about ballet dancing, so I'm going to ask you about that. In your meetings and discussions with Ashley, did she indicate she was interested in the ballet?
She spoke about the fact that she had been a ballet dancer, that she had performed in, I'll call them shows, back, I believe, in Maryland, where she grew up. And by the time that I first met Ashley, they had formed the ballet company called the American National Ballet in Charleston. And they were, at the time that I first met her, they were working on getting that ballet company up and running.
Okay. And was this going to be a large endeavor?
Several $1 million, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Up to 40 dancers were hired. Yes, ma'am, large endeavor.
Okay. And do you know what Doug's role was in that? In your discussions with Ashley, did you find out what Doug's role was?
Doug and Ashley talked about it on the first night I met her, about how they founded the ballet, how Doug did the online limited liability corporation work, founded the name, resurrected that name, how they worked together to try to build a ballet that was diverse and open to more than one body size, body shape, body color. That was the philosophy of the ballet as they explained it. That was Ashley's dream.
And how was it funded?
It was funded several ways. A number of Doug's business partner, friends, and Doug himself invested money. They had a major, let's say, arts benefactor in Charleston, is a personal injury lawyer who was going to be the primary major donor. In Doug's case, Doug was working on very advanced technologies and patents at the time. And in his case, he didn't have any savings or cash in the bank. So he sold his future stock grants and options to other investors to put his own money in, about $100,000 in his case.
So while this ballet was in development or launching, did Ashley ultimately become pregnant? I know you said she became pregnant several months later, but I'm just trying to get a timeline.
Yes, ma'am. So in February of 2017 are the records and what they told me about founding it. I met her in maybe a month or two after that on that Charleston overnight. They held the first ballet event, and I was invited in May of 2017. Once again, single parent, I wasn't able to attend. She got pregnant in July, and we talked about that multiple times. And the next month in August was the large launch, which me, my business partners, my veteran friends, supporters of Doug all went to Charleston for that major launch in August. It was at a place, I'm sorry.
And at that time, was Ashley pregnant in August?
She was pregnant. I don't remember if she knew or not. It was
okay.
1 month after the pregnancy was Emerson was conceived.
And at some point, did Ashley move away from the South Carolina home?
Yes, ma'am. We had the August ballet big launch. 2 weeks later.
I love the name Emerson. When I was looking at names for my kid, if he was a girl, I was going between Emerson, because I loved Ralph Waldo Emerson is my favorite author. I loved Emerson for a girl, and Marley Reagan. Marley Reagan was going to be his name if it was a girl, and Emerson was the other one. I love that name.
Doug moved Ashley down to Ashley's mother's home in Lakewood Ranch. Drove down one day, dropped her off, and drove back the next day. That's late August.
And what was the understanding, what was Ashley's understanding of why she was moving and what was going on?
In text conversations and personal conversations with Ashley.
Defendant's statement.
It's going to be the defendant's statements.
Can we prefer?
Yes.
We can zoom. She looks so young. Oh my gracious. How long is this?
Did she indicate to you that she was going to Florida because she was sick? And
that was the initial indication, yes, ma'am.
And her mother could better take care of her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Throughout the time that you saw Doug and Ashley together, how did Doug act?
In particular on the opening night and all the way through their relationship. Opening night, totally in love. Both of them in love with each other. Doug was always very respectful. He was very, very respectful with her in front of me. Both that initial night and then the next weekend, I believe in May, that I spent down in Sarasota, Bradenton with them. Every time he was respectful of her. They were in love. They never showed anything in front of me other than caring for each other.
That was going to be my next question. So did you see anything other than that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Cross. Mr. Taylor, as I've said before, you're free to use the podium if you prefer to cross from table. Yes, sir.
Morning, Mr. Benefield.
Good morning, Mr. Taylor.
You were a naval pilot, correct?
Navy pilot, yes, sir.
Yeah. I think you mentioned the training that you had briefly, correct?
I went through extensive training all my 30-year career, yes, sir.
Okay. Some of that training included close quarters combat, did it not?
No, sir, never.
No hand-to-hand training at all?
No, sir.
Do you remember having a conversation where you related information about close quarters combat?
Yes, sir. I was in charge. I was the senior.
Do you remember that conversation?
Which one, sir? I don't know which one
About
you're
close
speaking about.
quarters combat.
If it was in perspective of me running security and self-defense training for my airline, not the Navy.
You received no such training in the Navy.
No, sir, never.
Did Doug admit to you firing the gun in the
Objection.
kitchen of their home?
Can we approach?
Yes.
No, it was just getting.
Mr. Benefield, do you recall that Ashley had left your cousin Doug in the fall of 2017?
Yes, sir.
Specifically September 18th of 2017.
Yes, sir, I'm aware of that date and the events.
Do you recall writing to Ashley Benefield in a text in May of 2018, I'm a fan of yours?
Hearsay.
It's his.
Not a fan. Oh, am a fan. Oh, this is so many sidebars already.
So, Mr. Benefield, following Ashley's leaving your cousin Doug in September 18th of 2017,
Hey.
were you a fan of Ashley Benefield's in May of 2018?
I don't remember specifically that word, but it may have been in our lengthy phone calls and text messages from January through June, possibly.
You expressing support for her?
Support for her story of the case, yes, sir.
Yeah. And did you tell her, in fact, at one point, she married the wrong Benefield?
Sustained.
What? What?
Did you feel that she married the wrong Benefield?
Relevance.
Approach.
I'm sorry, what? What? What?
Support for Ms. Benefield. Thank you. So, Mr. Benefield, after expressing your support for Ms. Benefield in 2018, several months after she left your cousin Doug. By the way, do you know why she left your cousin Doug?
The initial reason or the second reason, sir?
Do you know the reasons that Ashley Benefield gave your cousin Doug as to why she left him?
Objection, hearsay.
I'm going to need the source. Is this from,
Well, I'm not going to ask.
is it being offered for the truth? I mean,
Yeah, it's not being offered for the truth, and I'm not going to go into the substance. I just want to know if this witness knows.
oh,
You can answer. Did Doug share with you the reasons why she left him?
He shared two different reasons.
Yeah, all right. So now you express several months following that you're a fan of hers, and do you also not say to her that she married the wrong Benefield?
I don't remember that specific text in the 6 months of open communication between she and I.
All right. Let me see if I can refresh your recollection.
Oh, dang.
Objection.
I just got really uncomfortable.
ooh,
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
yes.
Let me see what you're showing.
Thank you, Lego Law, for our law school update today.
I'm going to show you a
I love
document.
that.
Why don't you take a moment and look at it and tell us if that refreshes your recollection as to whether or not you suggested to Miss Benefield she'd married the wrong Benefield.
Is that what you said?
It does not say anything about marrying the wrong Benefield.
Did you say that?
Does it say,
Objection.
Hold on. Sir, has that document, without identifying it, we need to lay the predicate.
Mrs. Benefield, is that document reflective of a communication that you shared with Miss Benefield?
I believe it's correct and unaltered.
All right. And it's between you and Miss Benefield, is
Yes,
it
sir.
not?
Yes, sir.
All right. And it's accurate, is it not?
I believe so.
Okay. Now, may I approach?
Yes.
You say thank you, Doug
Objection.
Benefield.
Yeah, approach, Mr. Taylor. State.
Ask it differently. Oops. Oh my God, I can't imagine watching this live with all these sidebars. This is worse than the Melly trial.
Sir.
Now, that particular, does the document I've shown you, Mr. Benefield, refresh your recollection of that particular exchange?
Yes, sir.
Now, would you tell us your recollection having been refreshed, whether or not, tell us what your response was to Ashley's text?
This is 6 months, and you want me to just focus on
Just tell us what
one
your,
line. Is that
Mr.
what correct,
Benefield,
Mr. Taylor?
just tell us what your response was to Ashley's text, your recollection having been refreshed.
We're waiting.
Ashley says in the text,
Mr. Benefield,
Sustained.
please, tell us what your response to Ms. Benefield's text was, now that your recollection has been refreshed.
there are multiple on the page, sir.
Mr. Benefield, I think you know what I'm referring to. Would you please answer my question?
I would like to answer it as it pertains to what she said.
I didn't ask you what she said, Mr. Benefield. I asked you to please tell us, your recollection having been refreshed, what you said.
Would you want me to read that
Judge, I would
bubble?
object. We do not need to be reading from this document.
Deputy, would you please take the jury into the jury room? If you could give us
Okay.
5 minutes, I appreciate it. Remember, please don't begin your discussions and deliberations amongst yourselves. You can't.
Look, that please take the jury into the jury room because we need 5 minutes is like the equivalent of like when, like, I just think about when I'm about to like go nuts on, like, or when my parents were about to go nuts on me or whatever, and like, or, you know, like, or on each other, and they're like, could you take the kids out of the room, please, so they don't see me screaming at your father? That's what that
Use your
reminded me
phones
of.
and places
Like the
that-
parents are about to fight, and the kids have to be removed.
And you're not to let anybody talk to you about anything that's going on. In this portion of the discussion, the question was, did you tell Ms. Benefield that she married the wrong person?
The wrong Benefield.
The wrong Benefield. And I sustained that as hearsay with no exception. I found that it didn't provide impeachment of any prior inconsistent statement. What I did allow was him to testify as to his then existing mental, physical, or emotional conditions or feelings, with the question being, did you feel that she had married the wrong Benefield? There was then the attempt to use these text messages that I still have not seen. I don't know what the substance of them was, but where we were was my understanding, and what I heard was the defense was attempting to refresh the witness's recollection. And what I have said is it sounded like it started to morph into some mix of impeachment and refreshing recollection and some elements of introducing a past recollection recorded. And that's where we're at. So, state your objection.
My objection, first of all, is the predicate has been laid to refresh recollection. But then the witness has not been asked what his recollection is, other than to read it off of the paper, which is commingling past recollection and either past recorded or something of that nature. I think we're commingling the two different things. And if this witness needs to be asked, if it refreshes his recollection, then he can be asked that question without reading the document. I would object to any reading of the document because it is extrinsic evidence if it's being used for impeachment. I do not believe his state of mind is relevant to a material issue in this case. I think the defense is trying to say that it goes to bias, but I'm not quite sure how that fits into it. So my objection would be it's improper refreshing recollection, it's improper impeachment, it's also improper prior recorded recollection, and I would object to that being testified about.
Your response, sir?
Yes. So, as succinctly as I can, Your Honor, he's a creep. He acknowledged being a creep, and the jury will conclude he's a creep. It goes directly to his character and his bias. And that's why, after he said, yes, it was accurate, I recall it, he cannot bring himself to say it. And the reason he can't bring himself to say it is because he knows that all these women on the jury are going to know exactly what he was referring to. So I am trying to impugn his credibility after listening to everything that he had to say to set up the state's position about how this relationship was so lovey-dovey between Miss Benefield and Douglas Benefield, and what a wonderful relationship it was. Here, we now have this witness very begrudgingly admitting that after Miss Benefield leaves Douglas Benefield, and she leaves the letter, which I know the court has seen because I attached it as an earlier exhibit to a motion, he's still supporting her. And he's not only supporting her, but he's telling her she married the wrong Benefield. Yeah. In my world, Your Honor, based upon the rules of evidence, I am entitled to go after his credibility, which he has put in question by virtue of taking the witness stand and becoming a witness. I did it the way the court wanted. I asked the magic question, does this refresh your recollection? He said it did. Now I want him to tell me, in response to my question, did you tell Miss Benefield she married the wrong Benefield? And he cannot bring himself to acknowledge it. He wants to talk about anything else but that. And I think, Your Honor, anything that I'm capable of showing where this witness, Doug Benefield's loving cousin, Tommy Benefield, where this witness showed his support for Ashley Benefield after she left Douglas Benefield, goes directly to his credibility. You can't get up there and testify to all of these things about how wonderful this relationship was, and then on cross-examination have to acknowledge that you were still saying you're a fan of Miss Benefield's after she leaves him, knowing the reason she left him. I intentionally didn't go into the reasons to try to be straight with the court, but now I'm attempting to impugn his credibility. And he knows it, Judge. He's looking at me like a deer in the headlights.
I'm going to allow you to respond. I previously mentioned about confining arguments to legal and factual bases. I am also going to direct both sides to refrain from vituperative ad hominem attacks. I don't think we need to resort to name calling. I think it's inappropriate and unprofessional to refer to a witness as a creep.
Oh, dang.
All right. With that said, go ahead for your response.
The first thing, Judge, I don't know if you have the copy of the text message up there. The defense can give it to you. Nowhere in there does it say she married the wrong Benefield. That is not what it says, first of all.
Receipts.
And second of all, Tommy Benefield never said that anything about their relationship and the tenor of their relationship once she left. He said, when I saw them together, they looked fine. Just because that changes down the road and he knows they're having problems, I am unaware of how that affects his credibility. He can clearly see that they're having problems later on down the road. I don't see how the timing being different somehow makes him inconsistent and somehow that attacks his credibility or it shows his bias. If Mr. Taylor wants to ask him, were you aware that there were problems after that? Yes, I was aware of that. I mean, in Mr. Taylor's argument, he is impeaching the fact that Tommy Benefield saw them acting lovey to each other. If that wants to be impeached or explored, then ask Mr. Benefield if he saw them after that or knew that they were not lovey and having that type of relationship. I don't understand the relevance of these types of conversations. I think the defense tends to say everything is about bias, but it has to comport with the rules of evidence. And I would say that this does not.
All right, thank you both very much. So my ruling earlier was that these statements by Mr. Benefield towards the defendant were hearsay. I wasn't aware of any exception that would allow them. They appear to be offered for the truth of the matter that is asserted. So I didn't allow them on that grounds. What I allowed was the defense to ask, because there had been testimony by Tommy Benefield that they were always respectful to each other, you never saw anything except care for each other, and they were in love both ways. I think it is an impeachable question to ask, did you feel that she married the wrong Benefield? But it's not what he wrote, it's what he felt. That's where you're mixing apples and oranges, the defense is. The question that was presented to me was, did you feel that she married the wrong Benefield? He can answer yes or no. If there's then some extrinsic evidence that may impeach him on that point, I would then have to make a determination is that extrinsic evidence admissible or not? Because if it's a collateral matter that's not material, then as you well know, Mr. Taylor, you get the answer you get. Where we had an additional part of this analysis was the fact that there was a demonstrated lack of memory, because the answer was, I don't know, as opposed to, no, I didn't say that, or yes, I didn't feel that, yes, I did feel that. So then the path we started on was refreshing recollection. As I've mentioned before, and I mentioned pre-trial, I expect attorneys to know the differences between impeachment by a prior inconsistent statement, that's one path. Refreshing recollection is a second path, and introduction of past recollection recorded, which is a separate path. And the reason I'm sustaining the objection is because it started off with refreshing, does it refresh your memory, and then we got right back into the documents themselves, which I've already ruled were hearsay. So it's for impeachment purposes only. You can ask him about I allowed you to ask what his feelings were, but not to get into these documents themselves. I don't know how to say it any more clear than that. So if you're refreshing his recollection, then we're going to take that path.
Yes, I believe I did that. I believe I refreshed his recollection, and he acknowledged that. So then my question was,
what did you say? And that gets back to the documents. If he says his memory is refreshed, you take the document back, or whatever the thing is that you use to refresh recollection is to be retrieved. And then the person testifies from their own personal knowledge.
So once he said that he recalls, I then asked him if he said that you married the wrong Benefield. That's what I said. I will be happy to go through that again, Your Honor. Now, did I leave the document there when I asked him that? Yes. I didn't feel it was necessary to take the document back, but after he acknowledged that his memory was refreshed, I asked him, did you say that she married the wrong Benefield? And that's where we were when Your Honor sent the jury out. He was trying to come to terms with how he was going to answer that.
Let us see. I want to see.
The other text, Your Honor, is just indicative of continued support for Ms. Benefield.
I want to see.
So this doesn't say what you're asking him.
Now, approach. Thank you, wrong Benefield. Ms. Benefield says, that's very cool. You should be so proud of what you were doing. His response is, thank you, wrong Benefield. What that means, Your Honor, what that suggests is, thank you, you should have been with me.
Sustained.
I assure you, Judge, that any female will draw that conclusion immediately.
That does not match what you're asking, sir. All right.
Okay, first of all, Spock, don't speak for females. Second of all, that is not what that means. That is not even... I'm over here waiting on this creep plane to land, and that's what happened?
Are we ready to bring the jury back in? Do you want to treat this as your mid-morning break? You guys can take 5 minutes.
Can I take 5 minutes, please?
All right, am I going to be allowed to get an answer from him?
I've sustained the objection. All right, so we'll take...
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify your ruling. It's my understanding that you said he could ask how he felt.
Correct. The last objection was the questions were going to, what did you write? What did you say in your text messages? Sustained.
And then, okay, thank you.
So we're clear. Did you feel she married the wrong Benefield?
I've already ruled you could ask that question.
All right.
Don't speak for any female with... No, sir. Stick to sci-fi voiceovers.
Any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics we've heard anything about?
Lady Libra,
Everybody says no.
hi.
All right, Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Benefield, when we last were assembled, we were waiting for you to answer the question whether you felt Ashley had married the wrong Benefield.
Hold on. Wait, I want to hear what y'all say. Am I hearing this wrong? Did he say... It sounded like to me like you're texting the wrong Benefield. Am I right? Or like or the wrong Benefield. Like, is that what... I don't know how that would be married. Am I hearing this wrong? That's how I heard it. Am I hearing this wrong?
No, sir, I did not believe that.
Was it a joke?
It was an attempt to keep our communication open between us.
Also, the judge is on his last nerve. See, that's what he I know he didn't say you're texting the wrong Benefield. He said that thank you, wrong Benefield.
Now, we've established that you were aware that Ashley left Doug in September of 2017.
Yes, sir.
And we've also established that following that, you expressed your support of her.
Yes, sir.
All right, now I want to direct your attention specifically to the month of November of 2017. Were you aware of a domestic violence injunction that Ms. Benefield sought and obtained from South Carolina court?
Yes, sir, at that time.
And did you express to Ms. Benefield
You asked the question.
your support of her after she obtained that domestic violence injunction?
Sustained.
Did you support Ms. Benefield in November of 2017 following
I need more
the
context.
issuance of the domestic violence injunction?
Not specifically about that, sir.
I need more context. Because chat is
Do you
split. Let's do a
recall
poll.
expressing your support on Saturday, November 4th, 2017?
I don't remember that specifically, sir.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield, I'm going to show you a document, see if this refreshes your recollection.
I'm gonna start a poll. The chat split, so I'm curious. because I think, then why is he being so evasive with the question? I think because if you're asked, like, if that's what's said, and you say, thank you, wrong Benefield, and he's asking, did you tell her she married the wrong Benefield? That's not what he said. And you know, with court stuff, you're very limited on how you can ask things and how you can answer things. So I don't know.
The areas that I check, refresh your recollection.
Yes, sir. Those appear to be my statements.
All right, recollection having been refreshed, Mr. Benefield, on November 4th, following the issuance of the domestic violence injunction to Ms. Benefield, did you express your support to her?
There are two problems with your question for me, sir. I'm going to ask you.
Would you answer my question, and then you can certainly feel free to explain it.
I believe I was unaware of any result of any pending case in South Carolina at the time I texted that.
I thought you just told us you were aware.
I became aware after the fact when the mutual protection order was entered. I found out about it after the fact, but I don't remember the date of that event as it relates to the November 4th.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
State, any redirect?
No.
Can this witness be released?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor, can this witness be released from his subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Sir, you are released from your subpoena.
Oh, it's Eva.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning. My name is Judge White. I'm presiding over the case. Just make yourself comfortable in that chair. Get about 12 to 15 inches from the microphone. It does adjust up, down, left, and right as you need it. Actually, you're just fine right there. I think that's close enough.
Okay.
Speak in a loud, clear voice, and we'll hear everything. Go ahead.
Please state your name.
Eva Benefield,
How do you spell your first name?
EVA,
And how old are you now?
23.
What was your relationship to Doug Benefield?
He was my father.
And who was your mother?
Renee Benefield.
And we heard from the previous witness, she died, unfortunately, at some time before this case, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you first find out about someone named Ashley Benefield?
It was August of 2016, about 9 months after my mom passed.
Okay. And how did you find out about her?
My dad was on the phone when he picked me up from school, and he had his phone on speaker, and they mentioned him having a girlfriend, and if he was going to bring his girlfriend to a conference that they had that weekend.
And was that the first time you had any information that there might have been a girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay. How old were you at the time?
I was 15.
At the time, were you upset with him about that?
No, I just told him that I trusted him, and if that's what made him happy, that I would be happy for him.
And about how long after that did you find out they were married?
It was 2 days after.
And how did you find out that they were married?
My dad came up into my room, and he said, Eva, we need to have a chat downstairs with Ashley. She was at the house at the time. And I said, I don't think we need to. I understand that you're dating her and you're happy, but please just, give me my space a little bit. I don't want to have a conversation. And he said, no, I think it's really important we do. And I said, the only time that I would want to have a conversation with y'all is if you told me that you were going to propose. And when those words came out of my mouth, he told me that they were married.
Okay. So that's how you found out they were married?
Yes.
Did Ashley eventually move into your house?
Yes.
And that was the house in South Carolina?
Yes, ma'am.
At the time, who all lived in the house? Just the three of you?
Yes.
How was their relationship together?
Okay, so real quick, the poll results, 38% thinks that what he said is unclear or meant something else. Probably most of you are saying unclear because I think it was, obviously it's hard to take anything without context. But 30% say, this is interesting, 30% say married the wrong one and 30% say texted the wrong one. So it's exactly split on that, and then 38% say that it was unclear or something else.
That you saw?
They were just with each other all the time. It was very lovey-dovey. They were very touchy-feely, PDA. Any event with school or extracurricular that I was in, they were together. They'd go grocery shopping together, go travel together. They never left each other's side.
Okay. And how did you and Ashley get along?
It was friendly at first.
Okay. You said it first?
Yes.
And then what happened?
Over time, she tried to reprimand me a little bit more and kind of step into a motherly role, and I did not like that because it was so short after my mom passed away.
Okay.
Relevance.
Sustained.
And in Ashley's interactions with you, or interactions that she had or disagreements that she had with your father, how did you observe her to act?
Can you repeat the question?
I'm sorry, it wasn't a good question. Whenever she had a disagreement with you, how would she act?
It was almost temper tantrum like. It was.
Objection. Impermissible character evidence.
I'm sorry?
Character evidence.
Overruled.
Okay, so it was temper tantrum like, and you didn't sound like you were finished. What were you saying?
She would go directly to my dad and tell him that I wasn't obeying.
Okay. And did her reactions to you seem to be on the level of the situation, or did she get more angry at the situation?
Usually they were overreactions over small things.
Okay. And how about interactions with your dad? Did you ever hear her argue with your father?
I heard her strongly voice her opinions over and over and over again.
Okay. Now, you said over and over and over again. Is that something that you heard on a regular basis, or something you only heard once?
It was on a regular basis.
Okay. And when she was voicing her opinions to your father, was he ever reacting to that?
No, he would just sit quietly and listen.
Did you ever see them fight?
No.
Verbally fight?
No.
Okay. Did you ever see them physically fight?
No.
How often would you say that Ashley and your father would disagree within your hearing?
Never.
Okay. You said if Ashley was trying to get her point across that she would go on and on about that?
Yes.
Okay. So you don't term that as a disagreement?
No.
Okay. And what would you term that as?
My dad just listened to her voice her concerns.
Okay. Did you ever hear your dad at any time yell at her?
No.
Did you ever hear your dad do something or say something that was controlling to her?
No.
Did you ever see or hear your dad threaten her?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
Did you ever see or hear your dad threaten her?
No.
Did you ever see or hear your dad get physical with her?
No.
No further questions.
Cross.
Yes.
She's really pretty.
Good morning, Ms. Benefield.
Good morning.
We met previously at a deposition, correct?
Correct.
And I apologize to you for meeting you under these circumstances. I'm required to ask you a few questions based on the testimony that you've given us. You lived in the house at the time that Ashley and your father were first married.
Yes.
And you found out from your father that he had married Ashley when he introduced her to you.
It wasn't when I was first introduced. It was a day after.
So the day after, you said?
Yes.
Okay. So your mother had passed away approximately 8 months earlier?
9 months.
9 months earlier. And your father, with no advance knowledge, came and introduced you to his new wife?
Yes.
There was a hole in the ceiling of the kitchen in your home, correct?
Correct.
You know what that hole was, how it got there?
Objection. Calls for hearsay.
I don't know if it will or not.
I would prefer the question not be asked.
Okay.
Can we approach?
Yes.
Oh, dang.
So I think the question that was pending, Ms. Benefield, was, did you know how?
Objection, Judge.
Sustained.
Let me back up. You told us there was a hole in the ceiling of your kitchen.
Yes.
Was that hole in the ceiling of your kitchen, can you describe it?
It was small.
Small, kind of round,
Yes.
consistent with an object.
Objection, speculation.
Let me finish the question.
Consistent with an object the size of a bullet.
Yes.
Overruled.
Were there holes in the drywall of your home?
There was one.
Was it from the closet
No.
outside to the drywall?
No.
All right. Where was it?
It was near the kitchen.
All right. Did you know how it got there?
Yes.
Was the hole consistent with the size of a fist?
Yes.
Was that hole patched?
Eventually.
Who patched it?
My father.
Did you know that your father studied close quarters defense in the Navy?
Yes.
And tell us what close quarters defense comprises.
I'll allow it briefly so she can explain the basis of her knowledge.
Well, let me give the court a little better insight into this. Ms. Benefield, do you hold a black belt?
Yes.
And are you trained in defensive combat fighting?
Taekwondo.
Did you and your father often discuss different styles of defensive fighting?
We had the conversations when I was practicing, when I was 10.
And tell us were you trained in close quarters defense?
Yes.
All right. Tell us what it entails.
In hand-to-hand combat.
Okay. And it's the type of hand-to-hand combat where if confronted by a weapon, rather than turning and run, you're trained as to how to remove the weapon from the other person's hands.
Well, you're told to first ask for no conflict, and then if they proceed, yes.
Yeah. In other words, your objective is to take the weapon away.
If there's a weapon involved, yes.
Were you aware that a domestic violence injunction had been issued by the court in South Carolina?
No.
Give me 1 second, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Oops.
Was your dad fixated with Ashley?
I think they were fixated with each other.
Did you make a prior state? Whoops. Did you express at any time that your dad, your words, not mine, was fixated with Ashley?
I might have.
Give me just a moment, Judge.
She's very composed.
Do you remember having your deposition taken?
Yes.
I need page and line, and I don't have a copy of it.
Yeah, I was just first asking her the question. Do you remember sitting for a deposition?
Yes.
Let me pass to you this document and see if it refreshes your recollection.
Approach.
Oh, goodness gracious. They approach so much. She's so pretty.
The word that you had used to refer to your dad's interest in Ashley was what?
When are you referencing?
In general. Was the word fixated? Was that the word you used?
Yes.
That's all.
All right, redirect.
No, thank you.
All right, can this witness be released?
No.
Yeah. Okay, yes, but no, so you know. All right, Ms. Benefield, you've not been released from your subpoena, all right? And the rule of sequestration has been invoked. What that means is that you can't be in the courtroom anytime that there's testimony being given or evidence being presented. Because this is being shown on TV or the internet or something, you can't watch it outside of court. You can't watch what's going on inside of court. You can't be inside of court. You also may not discuss your testimony with any of the witnesses or any of the attorneys. Better practices don't talk about it with anybody else. And none of the other witnesses nor the attorneys can talk with you about what's going on in court. Do you understand all of that?
Yes, sir.
All right. And again, you're not released from your subpoena, so you need to remain available.
Okay.
All right. But for now, you're excused.
Okay, so then they go to lunch break.
Do any research on the people, place.
Let me see. We have the neighbor is next. Okay, we'll do the
This is
neighbor
things
and then
that we
we'll
will
probably do the neighbor and then we'll call it a day because I've got some other stuff I have to get done. But we'll do the neighbor and then the rest of it we'll catch up on tomorrow. They move pretty fast though.
You've heard anything about? No. Everybody says no.
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Hello, sir. My name is Judge White. I'm going to be presiding over this case. I've been told, sir, that you may need some assisted listening devices. It might help. All right.
It might help.
Certainly, here's a pair that you can use.
Yeah, Ashley was only like 9 years older than Eva.
As you see, you might have to turn him around the other way. Yes, sir. I think that'll work better. And the deputy will show you how to adjust it. Oh, did I scare you? Too loud? Okay, sorry about that.
Prosecutor called Marcy's law and Eva's allowed to court.
All right, sir. Does that help? Yes, sir. All right. I apologize about that. I didn't mean to.
No, that's all right.
Sir, my name is Judge White. I'm presiding over this case. Just make yourself comfortable in that seat. Get about 12 to 15 inches from that microphone. It does adjust up, down, left, or right as you need it. Just speak in a loud, clear voice right into that microphone. We'll be able to hear everything.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Hi,
Please state your name.
John William Sant Jr.,
How do you spell Sant?
S-A-N-T,
Where do you live?
in 11327 White Rock Terrace in Bradenton.
Okay. And did you live next door to Ashley Benefield and her mother, Alicia Byers?
I did.
Do you still live at that same address?
I do.
Do they still live at the same address?
No,
Okay. Did Ashley have a child when you lived next to each other?
she did.
About how old was the child last time you were together?
At the house, in the neighborhood,
When they were living in the neighborhood?
I'd say 18 months to 2 years.
Okay. And do you remember a day when Ashley came to your house?
Yes,
Okay. Do you remember what day of the week that was?
it was on a Sunday.
And what time of day was it? Light out, dark out?
It was still light, but it was probably early evening. It was between football games.
Okay, so it was between the football games on a Sunday?
Right.
All right. Still light out? What do you remember about Ashley coming over?
From the very beginning.
Right.
Well, I heard a very loud pounding on my door, and kind of startled me. But it was loud. And I went and I looked out through the little window in the window, and wasn't anyone there. So I thought, well, went to the back and looked out the back. I even looked out the side. He didn't see anybody. And I was thinking, well, one of my grandkids has a friend in that area there. I thought they might be messing around, but I didn't see anything. So I guess it was a few minutes. Nobody, must be just someone screwing around. And it happened again.
The pounding?
The pounding happened again, yeah.
I'm having a little trouble here.
All right. Yeah, if we can get you to scoot up a little bit. There you go.
Sorry. What part do you want me to start at again?
Okay, so the pounding started again?
The pounding started for the second time, yes.
Okay. Okay, and what did you do
adorable.
then?
At that point, now I'm starting to get a little concerned. Someone's trying to either break in or a home invasion and that. So I went back into my room, went into my closet, and I pulled my weapon out.
Okay. And you say weapon, what kind of weapon was that?
It was a Glock 23 40 cal.
Okay. So you had your own firearm.
Yes, ma'am.
You pulled that out, and what did you do?
I then came from the closet back towards the door and decided at that point, let's look out the door one more time before I load one in and take it to the door. So I just set it down on the little table beside my chair.
So you set the gun down?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I left, and then I went back to the door.
What did you?
And I looked out again, and then that's when I saw I saw a leg sticking out. Someone was sitting on the stoop.
Okay. So you saw a leg. You think someone was sitting?
Well, they were sitting.
Okay. So what'd you do?
Well, then I kind of noticed who the leg belonged to. I thought I did. And I went and I opened the door.
And did you know who it was when you saw the person?
I assumed who it was when I looked out the window.
When you opened the door, could you see who it was?
Well, by the time I got the door open, she was standing up.
So you saw who it was?
Yes.
And who was it?
It was Ashley.
Okay. And you kind of pointed over that direction. Do you see her in the room today?
She's over next to Mr. Taylor, yeah.
Stipulate that it's Miss Benefield, Your Honor.
Stipulation tidy.
Yes.
Okay. And what did Ashley say when you opened the door?
As soon as I opened the door, before I could say anything, she said, he attacked me.
And is that all she said?
At that point, I said, who? He said, Doug. He attacked me, and I shot him.
Okay. Is that all she said to you?
That's all she said.
Did she have a weapon with her?
I didn't see it at that point.
Did you see a weapon eventually?
Eventually.
Where was that weapon?
It was laying down just to the right of my door where I couldn't see it, where I was standing at that point.
And when did you see that weapon?
Well, after she said, and I shot him, I said, well, you better come in. And I moved to the left to let her in, and that's when I noticed the line there on the ground.
Okay. And what was it?
It was a handgun.
What did you do with that handgun?
Once I got her in the house, I told her, I said, I can't leave that out there. No, I don't know whether she responded or not, but then I went out, reached down, picked it up by the trigger guard, brought it back in the house, and set it down inside the door.
Okay. And when you say inside the door, was that on the floor or was there a table?
It was on the floor.
On the floor. So once you brought her into the house, where did you go?
Once I brought the weapon in, I shut the door and locked it. And I looked at her and I said, what condition is Doug in? And she said, I don't know. She said, don't know. She just don't know. I said, where's your mother in Emerson? And she said, at the park.
So you knew her mother and you knew Emerson, her daughter?
Yes.
Okay. And she said at the park?
At the park.
And at some point during this conversation when she was at your house, did she tell you that that gun was hers?
After listening to the tapes, I was able to hear her say it, but it was really faint, yeah.
Okay. Did you call 911?
I did.
Have you listened to the 911 call?
Many times.
Okay. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 1. You can take a look at this. What is this?
The disc, I guess.
It's a disc.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
The 911 call?
Oh, okay.
And when you listened to this 911 call, was it an accurate representation of your conversation with the person on the other line? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. No. It wasn't me.
Pardon?
Yes, I recognize my own voice.
The state would enter it and then State's Exhibit 1.
No objection. Will we received?
What was Ashley's mood when she was there?
I'm sorry, Ashley's what?
Ashley's mood?
Terrified.
Okay. Was she, do you remember her crying?
I didn't remember her crying until I was listening to those tapes, and then it sounded like she was crying, but she just couldn't get any words out. After that last statement about where her mother and daughter were, that was really the last coherent amount of any words that ever came out of her mouth that I could understand. At that point, it was just stuttering and shaking and sobbing.
Okay. So you did not have any other conversations with her, meaningful conversations with her after that?
No, the rest of the conversation was a 911 operator.
Okay. At this point, I'm going to publish State's Exhibit number 1.
Members of the jury, when physical evidence, documents, photographs, video or audio recordings, and so forth, are admitted or received by the court, they may be published to the jury.
Okay, yes, we can skip this.
Or has impact on other evidence. Transcript.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Hi, my address is 11327 White Rock Terrace.
Okay, can you repeat that for me to make sure I have it correctly?
The house next door, honey, what's your address? Okay, it's right next door to me. She just came over. Her strange husband attacked her, and she says she shot him. Now, we've not gone over there yet.
Okay, what's his name?
Who?
What is his name?
His name is Doug Benefield.
Okay.
I have not gone over there. I'm not going to go back.
I don't want you to go over there. Stay on the line just one moment. I'm going to connect you over to the sheriff's dispatch, okay?
Okay.
One moment.
Calm down, honey. Calm down.
What is your name, sir?
My name's John Sant. KMT. I live next to the
dispatch on a recorded line. This is Gabby. How can I help you? Hey, Gabby, it's Kieran. On the 11327, I have John Singer on the phone. He's saying the neighbor came over, female neighbor. It was a domestic. She shot her husband. Okay. All right, I'm going to get that on the screen, okay? Okay. Which screen is this for? At 11327 White Rock Terrace. Okay.
That's my address.
That's your address? What's her address? Where does it occur at?
Her address is right next to her. I believe it's 11331.
She's on the corner? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. On the corner. She's with me now, quite upset. The weapon is here.
Yeah.
You want me to go over and look at anything, or just wait for the...
No, I want you to just wait for the police, okay?
All right, if you could just get them here quick. She came in, she was quite hysterical. I didn't know who was banging on my door. Said that he attacked her, and she shot him.
Okay. I'm just getting that on the screen, okay?
Okay. I know, honey. Come on. I know. Go ahead, ma'am.
Where is the gun? Is it with her, or is it just...
I have it right here, ma'am. It's sitting on the floor inside the door. My door's locked, so in case he isn't, he can't get up. I'm also armed if he does come over and try to harm her, just so everybody knows.
Okay.
I'm kind of concerned with her mother and the little girl might get back there and find this whatever happened. Don't go out there, honey. Come on. I know. Come on, sit down. Sit down. I know.
Yeah. All right, I just want you guys to stay on the phone with me, okay?
No, I'm right here with you. I'm just with her. I'm trying to comfort her. We're in the house. Or the police are going to want, no problem. I know, baby. You got to sit down. Come on. There's no... Why they want you to stay here. If he isn't, we can't take a chance. That's why I want them before you get back to the car.
Deputies are moving as fast as their hand. They're coming priority. They're coming licensed sirens. They just want to get and make sure everything's okay. I want to... So where in the house is he?
Where in the house is he? Her bedroom. No, I don't know where that is. So it's one of the bedrooms. It's a lot like mine, so I'm going to assume when you go into the... Is the garage door open? When you go into the garage, it's going to be on the left? Yeah, on the left.
Okay. Okay. All right, I'm just getting that typed up, okay?
What, ma'am?
I'm just getting everything on the screen, okay?
Okay.
I should have Deputy pulling up here soon. Do you see him?
No, I'm in the back now looking out. I know which way the park is in Central Park here.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Okay, the sheriff's here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you
the sheriff's car just pulled.
Yeah,
what do you want us to do?
I'm going to stay on the line with you until a deputy gets with you, okay?
Okay. Okay, the sheriff is here. I'm not too sure where they're going.
I'm just staying on the line with you. The deputies.
I'm right here. I haven't left yet.
Yeah.
I just see it's a SUV sitting out there in front of my neighbor's house, right in front of my house. Just to calm, you know, they're going to take you into custody. You know that, right? Okay, just you know, you just calm down and just okay. I know.
Okay. Just let me know when they come knock on your door, okay?
Are they coming now, the police?
They will. They're waiting for a little bit of additional units. They want to have a...
Yeah, well, I'm glad they're on fees. We got to get a hold of don't go out. Until the police officer comes and look.
They're going to let me know what they want me to tell you, okay?
They're just waiting to make sure that they have other people with them. They don't want anything to get out of hand without having proper backup, you know?
Yeah. Well, like I said, the weapon's here. I just want them to know that exactly where it's just sitting right inside the door. It's on the floor. And I did reach out when she ran in and picked it up off my front patio and brought it in. I wasn't going to leave it outside. Here's another police officer.
Is it just inside the front door or the back door?
Say that again?
Is it just inside the front door or like the back door patio area?
I'm by the front door. She came in the front. I'm sitting here staring at an officer right now. Looks like he's talking to one of the other car. Neither one of them are moving.
Yeah. I'll let you know when it's time, when to come out, okay?
Okay. Hey, is that your weapon or his? Okay. Okay. Well, that's why. Let me get my... Okay, just calm down.
Okay. Now the deputies want her to go outside with her hands up, nothing in them. Okay?
You want her to go out?
Yes, they want her to come out with not
out of my house?
Yes.
Does he know she's in my house?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, so we're going to have to go out, okay?
And they want you to stay inside.
Well, let's put your hands where you can see him, okay? All right? Where's she at?
Just start walking out front. They're outside.
I don't see him anywhere. She sure isn't her.
Just start walking out. They're not going to do anything. They just want to make sure that everything's safe and that they're safe, okay?
Can I take her out? She's really upset.
No, they want you to stay inside. It says female only.
Stay inside on your hand? I don't see it now. Are they at the right house?
We told them multiple times which house to be at.
Yeah, 11327. I'm right in front of that SUV that does not have its lights. Hold up right there, honey. Where are they at? There's a police officer over on the, with the flashing. Okay, one of them sees her now.
Yeah, just keep her walking out. Okay?
Honey, do they see you?
They're probably giving her instructions, okay?
Hey, Jen.
Okay. Now, I need a police officer to come and get this weapon.
Yeah, they're going to come and get the weapon. They just wanted to make
sure. Here they come now. Okay.
All right, folks, just hand those transcripts back down to the deputy. You may resume your question.
At any time during this interaction with Ashley, did she appear to have any injuries?
No.
Okay. Did you see any blood on her?
No.
Okay. Did she complain of any injuries?
No.
Okay. How about her clothing? Did you notice, was her clothing ripped or anything wrong with her clothing?
Not that I noticed, no.
Okay. And eventually, did the police come to your house?
And talk to me?
Yes.
Yes, they did.
Okay. And did they recover that firearm that she had brought over that you left?
They did it while I was outside, because when I went back in, it was gone.
Okay.
I assumed they took it.
Okay. So maybe you didn't see them take it, but
No.
it was gone.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions. The defense may have some questions for you.
Okay. Cross.
Afternoon, Mr. Sant.
Afternoon.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you for coming this afternoon. With court's permission, may I approach?
Yes.
Mr. Sant, I've passed you a photograph. I'm going to mark it for identification as Fence Exhibit Number 1, if I can.
Hi, pretty.
And Mr. Sant?
Yes, sir.
I don't mean to keep startling you. I apologize.
That's okay.
Can I please have that transcript? No, the transcript. Thank you, sir.
There you go.
Thank you.
Mr. Sant, can you identify that?
Well, it looks like my house and Alicia's house at the time.
Yes, sir. And they lived in the house right next door to you, I believe you said.
The one with the red dot on it.
Yes. It was the corner house, correct?
Yeah, right.
And it's got a red dot on it?
Right.
All right. Is it an accurate representation of your house in comparison and in position to where Miss Benefield lived?
Yeah.
All right. Would you do me the favor, may I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Would you put a check mark on the roof of your house?
My house.
Yes.
All right.
your house that's depicted in that picture. Okay, we're going to help the jury see how this took place.
We'll put it on the overhead.
Objection. Putting it on the overhead. Can we put it on the overhead?
Absolutely. Madam Clerk, can you give some lines for us? Just the jury and the presentation.
Got it.
Is this just a demonstrative aid?
Yes, sir. Okay, so, Mr. Sant, just if I may turn your attention, if you could.
This one or the?
Actually, I think maybe you'll be able to see it better on this one. The chair should swing around. You see the one with the red dot on it?
Yes.
That's Ashley's house?
Yes.
And your house is immediately to the left, correct?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Don't move that mouse.
I'd like to move that into evidence, Your Honor, as defense exhibit number 1 at this point.
Okay. I just asked a minute ago if it was a demonstrative aid or if you were admitting it.
Well, it was a demonstrative aid up until Mr. Sant.
Okay. Admit things first if you want. Any objection?
And Judge, I recognize it's the state's case, but I have no objection to this exhibit.
All right. Received.
Mr. Sant, you've told us that on this terrible occasion, Ashley was terrified.
Yes.
I think you said, I don't want to put words in your mouth, I think you said she was stuttering and shaking.
Yes.
Pretty hysterical.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Now, Mr. Sant, you're pretty familiar with firearms, are you?
Somewhat. I use them. I go to firing ranges now. I'm no expert, but I.
Was there anything about that firearm on that day that you noticed that was unusual?
First thing I noticed is when I saw it, there was a spent cartridge stuck between the slide and the entrance to the chamber.
A spent cartridge, meaning a fired cartridge?
I'm sorry, yes, it was empty.
Okay, and it was stuck where?
It was stuck between the slide, front end of the slide, and the back end of the chamber entrance.
The slide on the gun that cocks it and loads another bullet into the chamber?
Correct.
So could we agree that the weapon was jammed?
The weapon had been misfired or mishandled.
Okay.
It wasn't held far, and it didn't eject it far enough.
Now, what is that indicative of, that a cartridge would be stuck like that?
Objection, foundation.
I'm going to sustain.
Mr. Sant, do you have experience to the extent of being familiar with weapons and what would cause a cartridge to get stuck in the manner that it was on this gun on that day?
Yes.
May I, Your Honor?
You want to be heard?
No.
Go ahead.
Thank you. What is that indicative of, Mr. Sant?
In my experience, was the weapon wasn't held properly when that particular cartridge was fired.
Oh my gosh,
And when
the
you say
paper
by
ruffling.
held properly, meaning held too loosely?
Yes.
No further questions.
Redirect.
No.
Can this witness be released?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Sant,
Yes.
you are released from your subpoena. You are free to go.
Okay. Can I take these with you?
No, you can't take those. They wouldn't work outside anyway.
Oh, well.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we're going to call it a day there. I'll give y'all the last of the sunset before we finish up. I love the neighbor. He's so sweet. He's lovely. I will start the stream a little bit earlier tomorrow. And we'll do some catching up. We'll do the rest of this day and then everything that they did today. Hi, Leah Baker. Hello, hello. And for some reason, I think most people didn't get notifications. It didn't send notifications out. And I only set up the, okay, hold on. Now look at, okay, hold on. Let me show you. Look, we're just going to have a million screens. Oops. We're just going to have a million screens. Let me show you. This one's pretty, but look at, Look at the sky on this one. Isn't that pretty? Look how the sun is peeking out of the, like that's beautiful. That's incredible. I love that. Oh, FYI, make sure you have you have notifications set to all, not personalized. Oh, see? That helps. Marie Moss with our stats. Oh, I've missed some Marie Moss stats. 3 witnesses, 9 sidebars, and 25 objections. 25 objections. 25. Per someone, I should send you a super chat. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Leah Baker. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So funny. So funny. It is beautiful, isn't it? Hold on. You want to see? Hold on. Hold on. BRB. Let's see if I can get y'all. Let's see if I can get you out there in time to see it in person. Not in person because you're not here, but you know what I mean. See if it'll let me link. Oh, I think it will. Let's see. Enter studio. Allow. Ah! There I am. Okay. Hold on. Settings. Okay. Let's see. See if I can get you out here. See it. I'll be right back, Luce. Okay. It's raining. Let me see. Oh, Oh. Can you see it? Kind of. You can kind of see it. I don't know if you can see like right. Wait. I'm not very good at this. Right here. You can see the rain. You can see the rain falling out of the clouds. How cool is that? It's so peaceful. I love it. It's my there's people in the pool. Spying on it. Field trip. Look, you can see the end of my hallway. See the water? Can you see that? Can you see that? Can you answer that? I love it out here. That was Mr. Bill's place. But unfortunately, he had to move. It's my favorite. You can see. Hold on. Let's see how much you can see from right here. Probably not a whole lot. Because it's darker now. Dang. Let's see. You can't really see a whole lot of what I'm doing right now. It's kind of dark, but you can kind of see a little bit there. But it's beautiful. My little bitty tiny condo takes me 2 seconds to walk from one side to the other. Okay, let me end this one. Let's see. There it goes. My AirPods died. It's so pretty. It's like my favorite thing in the world. The beach. Oh, now look at this. Hold on. Now look at the sky. Look how dark this cloud is right here. And then you have the light peeking right there. Isn't it cool? And you can see right here, you see the rain falling. And right here, you can see the rain falling. It looks so cool. Recap on chat. Oh, was everything echoing? It wasn't echoing for me. It happens. It is pretty, isn't it? The clouds are like the clouds over the water are some of the coolest things ever because you get to see when storms are coming in. Actually, somebody had asked me earlier. Let me see if I can find it. Somebody had asked me about water spouts. And I videoed some. I'll show you this and then we'll end. Oh, yeah, here it is. Okay, hold on. Let me, because I have some psychopaths stalking me, I'm going to hide this while I put it on the screen. See if I can figure out how to show you this without showing anybody's names. There we go. Okay. This is a water spout. This is a water spout that I recorded here out of the window. Isn't that cool? There were some out here today. See it forming? Aren't those cool? I think they're cool. Let me hide this again from the psychopaths. Gotta hide from the psychopaths. Oops. There we go. It's cool as long as it stays on the water. It does a lot of damage if it comes off the water. There's a place right down the road that got tore up a couple years ago from it. Jen Devka gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Welcome to our new people. Welcome, welcome. Y'all are the best. It feels good to be back with y'all. We've had a little bit of a break, but it was a needed break. Oh, look, there's the people. Oh, look, here's the people that we just spied on in the pool. Down there. No clue that they ended up on the internets. Oh, yeah, I think I nabbed a few subs that have been here for a while. Good. Good. Yeah, Virginia Little, I Wasn't Born with Thorns, Brenda Meyer, Crystal DeSaro, and Rubicon were all gifted memberships by Jen Devka. Spying mom mode. Just joking. Okay, we're gonna go. And by me, I mean me and Lucy. She's somewhere. She's down here. Hold on. There she is. There she is. Say hi. Say hi. I've got all kinds of issues here. You got my flip-flops in there instead of just her stuff. It's okay. We'll get it together. We'll get our lives together. I appreciate y'all. Tired brain is fun. Tired braining is delusional. That's okay though. We will pick up tomorrow where we left off and catch up and see who else we have to hear from. So I know that we're not normally doing them delayed like this, but this has just been one of those weeks that has just not gone as planned yet. But the week is young. It's only hump day. We've always got time. It's already turning around. All is good in the hood. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Thank you so much. I will get the stream set up for tomorrow. I'll probably get it set up in the morning sometime because I've got a lot of stuff I need to get done tonight. So I'll get it set up sometime in the morning, and then you can just hit notify me because I got to figure out what time I'm going to set it for tomorrow too. So when I get it set up, you can hit notify me. So that way you make sure that you get the notification that we are going live. So I needed this, y'all. I needed to be able to hang out with you beautiful people with all of your love and positive energy. Definitely what I needed tonight. So thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for all the gifted memberships. Thank you for all the Tail Light Confetti Fairy. That's a really funny name. I see what you did there. I appreciate y'all. We will be back tomorrow and we will get caught up and we'll do the speed trialing thing again. We will go through and zoom through all the extra stuff that we don't need and just get to the meat and potatoes. And we'll have another good day. Y'all are the best. Y'all are the best. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I gotta go. I can't stick around here forever.
It was wonderful. Everybody behaved. Everybody's always so nice to me.
Just love your channel. And
Goodbye. How the heck do I get out of here?